So there's tablature and there's notation. And the constant idea that one is better than the other is out there. And people believe sight reading is better, and some people believe tablature is better, and some people believe you either stick to the left or you stick to the right. Oh man. Is it November already? Hey guys, welcome to Truth Guitar Method. My name is Joel. You can call me Joel, son of Caesar. And yes, my dad's name really is Caesar. So today what we're going to do, we're going to do two things. Actually, three things. The first thing is we're going to review last week's new technique for the left hand warm-up, which was ascending and descending. It is a piece of cake. Today we're going to add one new thing, which is sight reading and tablature. How to understand it, how to read it, and how to use it for your advantage. Ascending, right, means that we are traveling in this direction. We're going to higher notes. Descending means that we're going in this direction, getting lower notes. So the idea here is ascending and descending is just to warm up your fingers. It's not to play the notes. That's not the goal. The goal is, of course, you want to have your sound on and everything so that you can hear that there is something happening. Now, if you're using an electric guitar, if you're using an acoustic guitar, or a classical guitar, you obviously don't need to amp up anything. You'll be able to hear the nylon or the steel strings playing. So the idea here is you start on the first position, right here. And real important, position means 4 fret sections. So fret 1, fret 2, fret 3, fret 4 is considered position 1. For example, fret 5, fret 6, fret 7, fret 8 is considered position 5. Fret 12, 13, 14, 15 would be considered position 12. So there's sections of 4. Those are considered your positions, okay? So you would start at the first position in the first string, and all you're going to do is literally drop your finger in, almost like doing hammer-ons. Now you don't really want to go fast, and you want to make sure that you're using the tips of your fingers. So it would look kind of like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you lift and go 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift, 3, 4, 5. And so on. So that's a way to do it, where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, lift, shift, 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, lift, shift, 3, 4, 5, 6, lift, shift, and so on. But the other way would be that as you're lifting, you are also preparing to land. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, lift, 2, 3, 4, almost like a wave that your fingers are doing. Now the goal here is not to be fast. The goal here is not to play the notes. The goal here is to just exercise your fingers and get them used to moving in this direction. I think I skipped one there, but that's pretty much what you're doing. And you do that on the first string. Now, optional, okay, the more you do this, the better you are, right? Optional is to do it on the second string as well. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joel, why do I have to do it on multiple strings if I already did it once? So here's the thing. You know how they say strings have gauges? I don't know if you've known that. When you purchase strings, they have a gauge, which means each string has a certain amount of resistance. So when you press down on the first string, it's not giving you like the same pushback that the sixth string is giving you. The sixth string is a lot more difficult to bring down than the first string. That's why you should try to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, because you need to get these fingers used to playing in all conditions, light conditions, heavy conditions, quick conditions, right? So it's got to get used to, they have to get used to doing all these different things, okay? And then after that, you would go backwards. Now, I suggested in the last video that you guys go all the way to 24. And that is completely up to you. Honestly, if you go up to 12, this is a warm-up routine. Going up to 24 is not going to make you the best player. This is about warming up your left hand. That's what it's about. So going up to 12 is good enough. Going up to 24 is really pushing the limits, because I just said that you got to get your fingers used to different situations, right? For example, thick frets up here and thin frets down here. So the farther you go, the better you'll be acquainted with your guitar. Now, once you've done that, I'm going to go ahead and go from 12. You're going to go backwards. And backwards is kind of a little simpler because it's very caterpillar-like, right? So it's going to go 15, 14, 13, 12. And your fingers are already kind of up. You don't really want to leave them down. So 15, 14, 13, 12, 14, 13, 12, 11. Very important that your thumb moves along with your hand. And I just made a mistake. That's okay. No mistakes are okay. They're allowed. It's how we learn. So once you've gone ascending and descending, you can go to the next string, ascending, descend. Third string, ascend, descend. Fourth, fifth, sixth. So sight reading. Two important things to understand is the difference between the staff and the tablature. The staff has 5 lines, and the 5 lines start at the bottom, and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what's important to notice about the staff is that the spaces between the lines are also utilized by the notation. So a note can show up on a line, or it can show up on a space. Wherever the note shows up, you kind of have to figure out where to play it. This is the reason a lot of players avoid reading music. Because to be honest, if you're not going to become a pro guitar player, you really kind of don't need it. If you're just playing for yourself, you don't really need it. If you're not going to be playing concerts, you don't really need it. I get it, completely get it. So, but it is kind of cool to know and understand, okay? So who knows? You might be in a cave one day, right? And you might have to play some notes to get you to the pirate's treasure, the Goonies. And you might be that one person that knows how to play those notes. So the staff lines, again, utilize the 5 lines and the 4 spaces in between. And the notes show up there. Now, the staff is kind of like a map, right? And the map shows all these different things. But in order to understand the map, you kind of have to work everything out in your head. That's where tablature comes in. A lot of the pros, a lot of the professional musicians that they call, the scholars, those people do not like tablature because tablature is a cheating way. It's kind of like what you were supposed to work out in your head on paper. Tablature is your key. So tablature works kind of the same way as the staff, right? It has lines. But unlike the staff, the tablature does not utilize the space between the lines. So it only utilizes the lines. And if you notice, tablature has 6 lines. That's because every line in tablature represents a string. The top line on the tablature represents your first string. And second string is the one after that and after that. And the last line on the bottom is your 6th string. Okay, so what will happen on tablature is you'll get a number, and that number is telling you which fret you need to press. So if the number 2 comes out on the first line, then you know that you got to press the 2nd fret. Okay? And if a 12 comes out on the 6th line on the bottom, then you know you have to press fret number 12 on the 6th string. So it's kind of your key. It gives you a quickness to find your thing. Now, I'm neither left or right on this. I think that if you are a beginner, you use both, man, because why not use your entire arsenal to get things done, right? So use the tablature and use the staff. If you are planning on just playing for yourself, then at least just understand what the music is, and then stick to tablature. Quick note though, if you do tablature is kind of like you have to know the entire song and kind of like be familiar with how it goes so that you understand when you have to play those notes. Now, if you're going to be a pro or a teacher, you need to understand both. And you need to be a decent reader to be able to teach. Okay, that's just like fact, because if you don't know how to read the music and someone comes to you and they're like, I want to learn how to read music, and you can barely get through the stuff, then yeah, you're going to get fired. Okay, so you want to understand both. All right, so enough chit chat. Let's go ahead and look at some examples here. Okay, so the first string, you have E, F, and G on the staff. If you look at the tablature, you have a 0, a 1, and a 3. So you have 0 on the first string. That's called an E. Now if you look at the staff, anytime you see that note between those two lines, you play the E. And then you have 1. That's your F. F is on the 5th line on the staff. And then you have G. And it is on the 3rd fret. Now notice how I didn't play E, F, and G. We talked about positions earlier. If you are in the open position or first position, really, well, it's kind of a mix of open position and first position. Anything that comes out 0, you don't use a finger. Anything that comes out 1, you're going to use your first finger. Anything that comes out 2, you're going to use your second finger. Anything that comes out 3, you use your third, and anything that comes out 4, you use your pinky. Now that's only for the open position and first position. When we get into later positions, there's going to be some changes and some updates, but don't worry about that. So let's take a look at the second string. On the second string, you can see that there's a 0, a 1, and a 3 as well, just like the first, but it's on the second line on the tablature. And on the staff, you see the notes have moved lower onto those lines. So now you have 0 on the second string, which is B. That's on the 3rd line of the staff. And then you have C, which is on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. And then you have D. And that's how you play them. So far we have E, F, G, B, C, D. Pretty good. I'm using a pick right now. Try your very best. After all the warm-up, remember this is the new technique portion. Try to use alternate picking. If you're using the classical guitar, I and M. Use I and M. All right, so let's take a look at the 3rd string. Now, there's something that I did here for the 3rd string. If you take a look at it, you'll see a 0, a 2, and a 4. Now, most books will not teach the 4. I teach the 4. Because you might as well know that the 3rd string is going to give you hell for the rest of your guitar life. It's going to contradict you. It's always going to sound out of tune. It's just never gonna, it's like that one kid in the class that always messes around. So might as well just do it, okay? So on the 3rd string, you have 0, which is G. You have a 2, which is A. And you have a 4, which is B. Now something to note, this 4 is the same as open or 0 on the 2nd string. They're the same note. The only thing is they have different timbre. They have a different sound quality. One feels fatter than the other, one feels warmer than the other. Listen. So warm. And the next one is bright. Warm. But they're the same note. Let's go to the 4th string. So the 4th string, we've got 0, which is D. We have 2, which is E. And we have 3, which is F. 5th string, we have 0, which is A, 2, which is B, and 3, which is C. remember, whatever number shows up, you must use that finger to play it. And that only applies to the open and first position. Okay? And finally, I don't know if you noticed, but the sixth string is the exact same thing as the first string, E, F, G. Open, 1, F, and 3, G. But if you look at the staff lines, the notes look extremely different. These are up in the staff lines, and these are way below the staff lines, and there's even added lines. Those are called ledger lines. And the reason guitarists see so many ledger lines is because the guitar is not really a treble instrument, and it's not really a bass instrument. It's kind of in between. So either you read everything on the treble clef and struggle with ledger lines below, or you read everything on the bass clef and you struggle with ledger lines above. Don't worry about the bass clef. You let Davey 504 worry about that one. We have E, F, G, B, C, D, G, A, B, D, E, F, A, B, C, E, F, G. How do you sight read? All right, so let's say that you're about to start sight reading a little section, right? To kind of like get used to it or just practice it, or maybe you're in school and you actually have to do it for one of your assignments, okay? So the way to approach it is, let's say you had a piece of music that looked like this. Now this is a very easy level and it's basically only on the first string. So the way you would approach it is, first you take a couple of minutes, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, to look at the piece of music, okay? So you look at the music and you go note by note and you figure out which notes you're going to be playing. So you look at the first note, the second note, the third note, and in your mind kind of read them along. And you kind of go, okay, well that's an E, the second one is an E, the third one is an E, and then you have an F, and so on, all the way through. And you do that for about 1 or 2 minutes. You don't memorize it, you're just kind of like a sneak peek, okay? And then what you do is you say, okay, E, so I've got an E, okay? You take a look at the next note, you have an F, you take a look at the highest note, and you have a G, okay. So now you know you're gonna be using E, F, and G. And now the fun part comes, right? So you give yourself 3 seconds and you go, ready, set, go. And you start reading. Now, super important, as you're reading, when you're looking at the first note, you're playing the first note. But it's kind of like walking. As you're playing the first note, your eyes need to start looking at the second note. And then that'll transfer into your fingers and they'll know what to do. And as you're playing the second note, your eyes are now looking at the third note. And your fingers it's sending the signal to your fingers, that's what's next. As you get better at this, you'll be able to not look at just one note, but look at a section of notes, 2 or 3 notes, 5 or 6 notes. And you'll read the 6 notes and then it'll transfer into your fingers and your fingers will know, and you're always reading ahead. It's kind of like reading a book. You don't read each letter and then sound it out and then read the word. You kind of read the word, recognize it, and say it, and then read the next word, recognize it, and say it, and then it keeps going. And as you become a better reader, you can read 3 or 4 words, and as you're reading it, your mind is already going ahead. It's unbelievable how that works. So that's basically how you're going to approach it. So super important, you're going to want to go to truthguitarmethod.com, go to the free stuff section, and go down to the bottom. There's 2 new documents that I uploaded this week. One of them is called Staff versus Tabs, which is basically your map with a key and everything we just did today. And you can keep that on your phone or your tablet because it's a PDF, or you can print it out and you can always have it. Or you can go buy a book, pay $20, or you can just get it for free, like I said. And then the second document is Level 1 Sight Reading. And it's got 6 super easy examples. Easy examples on the first string, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Enough to keep you busy for at least an hour. And then it's got 2 bonus ones that combines the treble strings, which is 3, 2, and 1. And then the bass strings, 6, 5, and 4. And there's a symbol in there. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you go get it, and then I want you to see if you can figure out how to do it. Okay, guys, so take your routine that you've already had, the beginner guitar routine level 1, and you take that routine and you're going to add 2 things. Remember, the idea of the Truth Guitar method is the additive process. That means we're always adding something new to what you are working on. Add these 2 things, which is the ascending and descending to the warm-up section of the left hand and to the new technique section. And then also right under that, you're gonna add the sight reading. Okay, so like I said, they're highlighted in yellow. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed lesson 2. Also, if you haven't figured out, we are doing actual lessons instead of midweek reviews like the whole level 1. I'm going to be going live on Saturdays and just play through it. And if you are available, play with me. Okay, that's pretty much it. I think. Like, subscribe, share, and if you don't like it, that's okay. Go find somewhere else. Maybe they'll do better. Okay, you guys, you have to adopt the idea of the additive process. That is my method. That is how we do things here at Truth Guitar Method. See ya. Where's the camera? There's the camera. All right, bye.